I'm Becky.
I'm Sarah.
And we are doing Bickering book reviews. Today we are talking about Words in Deep Blue by Cath Crowley, which we got through NetGalley in exchange for an honest review. And this book, which we both actually really enjoyed, is based in Australia, and it is about Henry, who has just graduated from high school. Well, they have high school. It's very different. And his family owns a bookstore there's a bunch of offers on to be able to sell it. And his girlfriend has just broken up with him. His not nice girlfriend, Amy, just broke up with him because he doesn't really have like future potential. And at the same time, his ex-best friend named Rachel moves into town with her aunt. And you have just the reader knows that Rachel's brother just died. Nobody else knows. And so Rachel gets a job helping do inventory at the bookstore that Henry's family owns. Also working in the bookstore is Henry's sister George, who has a love interest who has a crush on her named Martin. And it's kind of about basically just about like a mix of love stories and interactions, basically, and who's going to end up together and what's their next path in life going to be.
So as I was like coming up with my, because I was trying to summarize this on Goodreads, I realized just like how much there was to this book. Like,
and
this
it's
book
a short book.
Deep. Like there's so much going on. It's like, where do you even start?
And
start with the letter library.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Well, and like I read her the first book I read by her was Graffiti Moon, because we don't get a lot of her books in the States, I don't think, because she's Australian. And I loved Graffiti Moon, and I feel like it was the same thing. Like she takes her 200, and it was like, what? Was it even 200 pages?
I don't think so. It was a short one.
She takes those 200 pages and she makes every word count.
Because the characters are deep. Like they're three-dimensional, and all of them. I mean, you go from the interactions between Rachel and Henry to the interactions between George and Martin, who are almost like my favorite characters, to the other two best friends, to Henry's parents. Like, there's so much going on. And then there's Cal, who isn't actually in the book because he's died before the book takes place. But, like, yeah, he's like a full character.
So we should talk about the letter library. So we both want a letter library. So the letter library is in the bookstore. There's supposed to be like a little nook that people can leave letters in books, or they can write notes in books, or they can do just like underline things. And it's basically like about communicating and just expressing your feelings.
So basically, Crowley is able to pull in what all book nerds love. I mean, I go specifically to used bookstores looking for books that have writing in the books, and this bookstore like functions with these books. Like, I don't know why they couldn't just survive on the letter library, like, or something. I don't know how they would capitalize on it.
I don't know.
But like, I just want this to exist. Though I say that, but it's just beautiful. Like now I'm like remembering more about it, and it's just fangirl.
Even the cover was beautiful.
The cover was beautiful.
The cover is gorgeous. We'll have the cover on the screen at some point, and you'll see it's gorgeous.
You'll agree.
Yes. And I had another thought of, but it's such a great book it's about coming of age and deciding where you want to go in life, but it's also about mourning and letting go of things. So it's really like, in a matter of 200 pages, she really does this huge discussion on growing up. Even the parents have to grow up and move on and do things.
Well, and I love the friendship between Rachel and Henry, because Rachel like confesses her love for him and he never responds. And so when she comes back, there's all that baggage of like, well, I guess he doesn't like me back, so we can't, like, how are we going to be? He wants to pick up right up where they left off, and she can't do that, and he doesn't understand. But like, there's this really great friendship, and I just love the connection between them. It's just phenomenal.
So basically, if you get a chance to read this book, read the book.
Read the book.
So we should read it. So yeah, I wish we were doing halves. So we start with 5 unicorns, and we go down to 2 unicorns, but if we don't like the book, then it's just a horse. I'm going to give it 4 unicorns. It's not quite a 5 for me, but if we were doing halves, it would be a 4.5. Should we do halves?
See, and I'm thinking, like, it's not quite a 5 for me either, but I don't know what would make it a 5. Like, I don't know what she could have done better or different.
I think if I had, I have no idea, but like to me, it's like I was like wowed, but I wasn't like floored.
You know what?
Dying.
Forget it. I think I'm too conservative with my 5s. I'm going to give it a 5. I'll give it 5 unicorns. I'm giving
it a 4.
I'm
but
gonna do
it's I highly recommend must read.
Because as I look back on it, like, I love it even more. As I think more about what was going on, I love it even more. I could even see myself rereading it.
Probably would too. I actually just got the audiobook downloaded.
Ooh, I wonder who reads it.
I'm curious because it's Australian. So that's where we are on Words in Deep Blue.
So, yay.
Bye.
Bye.